Am I the a-hole stories? Am I the a-hole for not letting my brother and his wife come to my wedding after he kicked me out? I, male 25, currently live alone and work as a mechanic. Both my parents are deceased. I have an older brother who took me in after my parents' house was taken, and it was absolutely difficult phase. I was working at an auto shop and was demanded to pay for food/household stuff for my brother and his wife, so I could continue to live with them. I couldn't save enough money to move out, and it got worse. My life turned upside down when I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma at the local community hospital. At first, several doctors could not identify the type of cancer I had. Unsure of what to do, I was referred to a specialist, which required me to pay X amount of money. I stopped working because I was too weak. My brother's wife completely ignored what I was going through, and started complaining about me being at their house and not helping. She kept trying to turn my brother against me, and he ended up getting into a huge argument with me while I was undergoing chemotherapy for the second month, and I was kicked out by my brother, who claimed my condition was my own problem and he had no obligation to take care of an adult, just his kids. I was a complete mess. A friend of mine took me in. He was confused by my brother's actions, and lack of empathy he had, to be treating me like this in my darkest days. Relatives weren't present as much as I hoped for them to be. It was an incredibly difficult phase for me. I was mad and frustrated. This affected my treatment, and my brother only showed up once at the hospital, but gave me nothing. It's been over 2 years now. My fiancée lives in another town, currently taking her end of semester exams. We're getting married on January. A relative of mine gave the news to my brother. Clearly, he has been asking about me for a while, and he wanted to come to me several times, but I refused to let him. He knew about the wedding, and said he and his wife wanted to come. Said he was hurt that other people were invited but he wasn't. Pretended that I was being hustled towards him for no reason, and said his wife is the one encouraging him to call me and visit right now. Funny, she did the opposite while I was struggling. I refused to give him an invitation or even have a talk with him, because of so much heartache that has been caused already. But I was getting criticism for my stance, and was told to forgive and forget. I guess my brother didn't know how serious my condition was, as we had this argument while I was beginning my treatment. He actually thought it was okay, and that I could handle myself as an adult. He had his own issues and didn't care enough to fix things between us. Instead, thought his wife was right about me. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Cancer treatment is one of the hardest things you can go through. For your brother's wife to get mad that you aren't helping around the house. Chemo takes everything out of you. And then for your brother to take her side and kick you out? No, absolutely not the a-hole. I'm sorry they did that to you, and I do not blame you one bit for not inviting them to your wedding. I've already moved on from them and the way they treated me, like I was a burden on their shoulders. My brother is known to be weak and let others influence him. His wife has an incredible amount of control over him, and he has no problem doing what she says. I have a reason to believe she had a huge part in driving a wedge between us, and caused all those arguments by constantly pouring poison in his ear. My uncle is like your brother, and he married someone who is like your sister-in-law. We realized too late, and by that time, they had managed to scam my nuclear family out of many properties from the inheritance, break my and my dad's hearts. We were very close, and make the last years of my poor ill grandma absolutely miserable in each and every way they could, withholding grandkids, convince her that many awful things that happened in the family were her fault, etc. She died sad and miserable because of them, no matter how hard me and my dad tried to compensate. Don't let them back into your life, don't engage in any way, just try and pretend you never knew them, is the best thing you can do for yourself and for everyone close to you. Forgive and forget are the words that people who have never been in that situation throw around, because they simply can't comprehend the gravity of what happened. If him and the wife wasn't taking money from you, you would have been able to save up and get yourself a place of your own. But no, they sucked you dry, then literally left you to die. No, they don't get to act like the victim here. And to be honest, I would tell the whole story to the relatives. If they still can't understand where you're coming from, and continue to give you crap about it, I'd go as far as uninviting them too. Not the a-hole, stand your ground. You've made it through so much, this is nothing. You can forgive and forget the offense, but remember the lesson. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for yelling at my brother for cheating while he was finally accepting his sexuality? My brother, 30 male, and me, 38 male, grew up in a very religious household. My father was all about good Christian family values, and yet ironically, He cheated on my mom all the time and he expected for us to accept it. I hated his guts, but my brother always tried to please him, to have his approval. When he was a teen, we shared a desktop computer, and he sometimes forgot to delete his browser history. I noticed he went many gay support sites, so I thought he might be into guys. I never asked because, A, it was his choice to tell me when he was ready, and B, I didn't care. He was my brother and I love him. I understood why he would keep it quiet though. If he came out when we were living with our father, I knew crap would hit the fan. Years passed and he didn't come out, even after losing contact with our dad. I thought that maybe he was just exploring his orientation back then, or he was bi or whatever, because he got a girlfriend and married her 5 years ago. This girl, let's call her Julie, is an angel. She got along with everyone and she became fast friends with my wife, who sees her as her little sister of sorts. I owe her a lot, because she was instrumental into making my wife accept she needed help after going through a terrible postpartum depression. Fast forward to this week, Julie calls us sobbing, and tell us my brother is cheating on her, and that his lover is a male friend of his from work. This has been going on since 3 years ago or so. I went ballistic and I called him. I told him he was doing the same thing to Julie as our father did to our mom. My brother then tells me he was struggling with accepting he was gay all this time, and that I should be more understanding. He accused me that I was so mad because he was gay, and implied I was low-key discriminating him. I told him that cheating is cheating, and that Julie doesn't deserve this. We haven't talked in days and I am starting to feel guilty. Maybe I should have been more tactful? I don't know, I just feel that cheating doesn't have a free pass, at all. People in Reddit, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. My uncle did this to my aunt. Once they separated, he moved his boyfriend into the house they were still sharing because my uncle's spending had made them land rich and money poor. My uncle is an a-hole. Not because he's gay, but because he cheated on his wife for years, instead of filing for divorce, and expected everyone to be cool with it because he was finally embracing his true self. He was struggling with accepting he was gay all this time. It's been 3 years of cheating. Not the a-hole. It's not about who he cheated with or what gender he's into, it's about being unfaithful to his wife. Not the a-hole. Cheating is cheating no matter your justification. You didn't get upset because he was gay, you got upset because his wife called you crying that she had been cheated on. If he needed to explore his orientation, fine. It happens. There are a lot of men who get married, either denying or not realizing they are actually gay. But he needed to end his current relationship before starting a new one. And 3 years? That's an extremely long time to just be exploring. Your brother is definitely the a-hole. If he had fallen in love with this man, and maybe hooked up once or twice and then realized he had been too afraid of his own homosexuality and came clean, that would be understandable. Instead, he craps on his wife for 3 years, using her, all the while cheating on her with the person he really loves. OP is absolutely not the a-hole here. Update: I sent him a lengthy email talking about how I suspected he was gay all this time, and that I was sorry he felt he couldn't trust me. I explained to him I didn't care about his orientation, and that if I was mad, it because he cheated, nothing else. I told him I thought that his behavior toward Julie was reprehensible, not his preferences. I said he needed to apologize and the responsible of his actions. Maybe go to counseling with her so she could get closure? I don't know. Whatever he can do some good to her, it will be the right thing to do at this point. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my sister to piss off? I, 33 female, am a single mom of 2, 11 male and 13 female, and was one of the lucky ones who got a PS5 on launch. This weekend my entitled witch of a sister and her 2 boys, 10 and 13, visited my mom. I live on the same block of land. The boys came to my house to see me and the PS5. They were well behaved and polite while they were there, but as soon as my sister turned up, their attitude changed in 2 seconds flat. They started fighting and screaming, and when I turned it off, they threw a tantrum. What did my sister do, you ask? She told me that I upset them, and that I need to leave my own home, so they can play without me interfering. And that I am a grown woman and shouldn't have video games anyway, so she will take it with her for her precious boys. Clearly, she has forgotten I have kids too? I told her to get the hell out of my home and she was not welcome back. My mom thinks I shouldn't ban her from my home, but one of my other sisters said it was buller, and wished she was there to see it. This was the first thing I have gotten for myself since leaving my ex, the most expensive item I have ever purchased, not including car, and it's only a few weeks old, so it means a lot to me. I live in Australia, so I had to be up at 4 a.m. to pre-order after the presentation, and I was saving for a few months before the price was announced just for this, as I knew it would be pricey. So, am I the a-hole for kicking my sister and her kids out of my home, after she tried to kick me out and told me she would take my PS5? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. And, it is none of her business if you have video games. I'd also go so far as to get a nice hidden camera or something, just in case crazy entitled sis shows back up for her free gift with entitlement. Not the a-hole. Baller AF bro. Not the a-hole. She's lucky you didn't physically throw her out. No wonder they acted out as soon as she was around if she rewards bad behavior like that. You are without a shadow of a doubt not the a-hole in this situation. First of all, how dare she demand you leave your own house, when it's her children who can't behave, and then to dictate she will be taking the PS5 that you bought yourself. She must have a huge handbag to carry that audacity and entitlement around with her. I'd have thrown my sister out by her hair, if I'm honest. I think you were very adult and polite in a situation where an entitled madam most definitely deserved a slap. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for calling my mom disgusting and making her cry? For reference, I am an 18-year-old female, my boyfriend is 20-year-old, my mother is 46-year-old. My ex-life is very personal to me. I do not mind talking about very vague things, like just casual girl talk with a very trustworthy person I can confide in, and I don't like sharing it with people, especially my mom, since she is a gossip queen. She talks about my friends and my dad's side of the family, as being less than human. She talks about intercourse all of the time to me, especially when I was a minor, physically describing my dad's, 56, her ex-husband's, privates to me, as well as her current boyfriend's, 63, when I was around 15 to 16. When I express discomfort and suggest other topics to talk about, it always goes back to actual stuff. There have been multiple occasions where she accused me of being slutty. I get angry and upset at her, because I am the complete opposite of that, but she immediately plays the victim card when I express anger. One day, we were getting something to eat, and on the car ride there, she asked me to describe my boyfriend's privates to her, which I promptly said no. She then followed up with, "It's big, isn't it?" I didn't respond because, A, I was super uncomfortable, and B, I didn't want all of her friends and her side of the family to know something private. She kept pushing and pushing, saying things like, "Tell me, I want to know about it," almost in a flirtatious way. It made me physically ill feeling. Finally, after years of this BS, I just exploded. And said something along the lines of, "I am your daughter, why would you ask me things like that when you know it makes me uncomfortable? Stop being so freaking disgusting. You do this intentionally." She started crying, and I immediately regretted bursting out like that. I still feel bad about making my mom cry, and I think that I shouldn't have said anything aggressively to her. But I do know she still did things like that, even though she knew it made me uncomfortable, as well as many other toxic things. She's a good mom/bad mom type. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She's crying because she didn't listen to you. She had chance to avoid getting yelled at, and she kept persisting. You straight up said you don't like talking about it many times in the past, and many times in the few minutes leading up alone. Your anger was justified. P.S. Yes, it's very freaking weird for mothers to talk about their partners to their daughters, and it's weird for them to ask about their daughter's boyfriend's privates. Guarantee that if OP had given in and described her boyfriend's, equipment to her mother, then OP's mom would have blabbed it all over town, thus potentially embarrassing OP even more and possibly even driving a wedge between OP and her boyfriend. Not the a-hole. Yup, and her side of the family is gossipy all of the same. So I'm just going to move away in spring of next year, so I don't have to deal with small town rumors. Not the a-hole. Your mother is engaging in a form of sexual abuse with you. Thank you. I can't believe I had to scroll down as far as I did to find this without a but attached. This has been going on since she was a minor, too. I can say from personal experience, having a parent do this is incredibly damaging. I had never even heard of the term covert sexual mistreatment before, but after doing research, I definitely relate to the accounts so disgustingly much. I had a conversation with my partner, and decided it would be smart to leave as soon as possible. I'm tied down until spring of 2022 because of college. But in winter of 2021, is the personal deadline I have set for me to move out. I am currently looking for jobs to secure in the area. My partner is willing to help and I am so grateful for that. I currently work a part-time job at a local restaurant, and I'm going to save as much as I can. I might try to get a second job to get the funds for it. I knew something was really wrong about it, but I never realized it was considered actual mistreatment. Thank you guys. My PMs are open if you would like to have a conversation. I do realize this isn't an advice subreddit. Any chance you can move in with your boyfriend? Probably, though if it doesn't work out that way, I am still looking at separate apartments. And that's it for this video guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.